This episode of the American Built Podcast is brought to you by Steel Core Industrial Construction and Welding Supply. If you can weld it, drill it, cut it, or bolt it, Steel Core has it. The largest selection of nuts, bolts, welding supplies, and construction equipment in the southern United States, Steel Core has what you need to keep your job going. With more than $4 million in on-hand inventory ready to deliver to your site today. Serving North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, and the rest of the country. Call 864-764-1599. That's right, call Steel Core today. 864-764-1599. And we're live. Joey, Ezzy, thank you guys for being here.
No, I appreciate the invite.
Yeah. So just a quick introduction. So you guys are with American Torch Tip and traveled a long way to be here. Very appreciative of that.
South Florida.
Yeah, nice, isn't it?
It's warmer than here. For sure.
It's kind of cold today. Yeah.
20 is a different level for us.
Yeah, I bet. Little shell shock.
Oh, yeah. Getting off the plane was rough.
Yeah, I bet.
You get used to it after a day or two.
Yeah.
I like the studio.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I've been telling you about it for a little while. I'm glad we could finally get here and make this happen. So I appreciate y'all's time.
You need to come up with a good name for it.
Oh, you know, the American Built Podcast.
Well, no, I mean the studio.
Oh, the studio.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, there's. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones, but you need to find a good one that you can throw out there for it.
Right. Well, a little introduction. So, Joe, you are the national sales manager for American Torch Tip, and Ezzy, you are a cobot specialist, which and we're going to talk a lot today about automation in the fabrication and manufacturing space. But before we get into that, I know you, especially Joe, you travel an extensive amount, right?
Yeah, I do around 40 weeks a year, give or take.
40 weeks. What's your favorite city that you've been to? If you got to pick one, and you're stuck, where are you going?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Besides home, because I know you live in Paradise, but
yeah, I mean Sarasota definitely ranks up there.
Yeah, where are we going besides Sarasota?
San Diego's beautiful. Salt Lake City's amazing. You know, Columbia, South Carolina's got some good stuff to offer.
Really?
Yeah,
you think so?
It really does.
Yeah. So you're telling me of all your traveling, South Carolina is possibly on that list.
I'm from the Southeast, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's different when you come from down here. Mm-hmm. You know, you go to Michigan or Nebraska.
Just too cold.
It is too cold, but just there's differences across the country and how people are and what they value, those type things. So, being from the Southeast, I just think those Southern values come through, and South Carolina especially.
I like that.
Yeah. So Columbia, cool. I'm not saying Columbia is my favorite, but I do like Columbia a lot. I'd probably go Salt Lake City, the mountains.
Yeah.
I can definitely tell you my worst city.
Yeah, where? Name it.
Houston, Texas.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is way too much traffic.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about you, Ezzy? Have you done any traveling?
A couple, just over the years, but not through American Torch Tip. I think Colorado State is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Going in the mountains, snow.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I got you. That's awesome.
What about you? What's your favorite city?
My favorite city
in the U.S.
Well, I haven't done a whole lot of traveling in the states, but probably I don't know. I gotta really think about that for a minute. That's tough.
You can say Atlanta.
Atlanta's definitely
Atlanta.
not.
I know what it is.
No, no, not at all. Man, I like home. Yeah, I do.
You excluded that choice.
I did exclude home. So, I don't know. I really don't. I haven't. That's it's a shame to say I haven't really traveled our states. Been to a lot of different countries, but not a lot of traveling here in the States.
I mean, we've known each other for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And even through fishing and stuff, Lake Okeechobee is different than here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You've seen some, northern Alabama is beautiful.
Yep. I will say, on the fishing trail, like that Gunnersville, Alabama area.
Gunnersville is beautiful.
It is. It is. But as far as my favorite city to go and visit, and that's not one of them. No.
Nah.
I like Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah's beautiful.
Yep.
Great
Yep.
restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't want to live there though.
No. But it's kind of like Charleston. It's good to go for a day.
And that's it.
And
that's
then
right.
go back home.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Savannah's good for a weekend.
Yep.
And then tie it up and go back home.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't know. Definitely can't say Myrtle Beach. Good night. Listen, I'll never go back to Myrtle Beach again.
So if you had to pick, would you live in Myrtle Beach or Atlanta?
Man, that's terrible. I'm going with Myrtle Beach.
Yeah. I'd pick Myrtle Beach too.
Yeah. All day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Atlanta is
3 hours to the grocery store. It's only right down the road.
right there. What? 4 miles.
3 hours.
I'll be back in 3 hours, honey. We'll get some chicken. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So with all your traveling, I imagine you see a lot of different variety of workforce, right? You've got big cities, small cities. You've got rural communities that have manufacturers. How are you seeing people throughout the country handle the workforce labor shortage we found ourselves in?
It's funny. So regionally, it's very different. I know a couple places in Texas, they actually installed air conditioning in the entire shop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The welders say it's too hot. I mean, spent millions of dollars cutting down AC, doing those type things. The majority of people I see are going towards automation. So they're moving more towards robots. They're moving more towards cobots. Mm-hmm. Finding the jobs where they don't need as skilled labor to run it. They can have a robot do it and have their skilled labor focused on fabricating and those custom parts.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the biggest I've seen.
Yeah. Well, our partnership, we started, we've been working together, 5 or 6 years now, I guess?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What I see American Tourship doing is kind of paving the way with automation, right? And obviously, I want to align my company with automation. We're kind of known now as the automation folks in the upstate.
Mm-hmm.
But what you all are doing with the cobots, that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And in my opinion, if you're a trigger puller welder, right, you need to be finding another career soon. A fabricator, he's going to have a job, he or she. But just a day in, day out trigger pulling welder, but you're in trouble. I mean, just look around. I mean, you guys seen the video with the restaurant with the robot that's delivered? That's like they have no waitresses.
Yeah, it's McDonald's. It's right down the road. That's how they built it.
Come on. Well, no, that's true though. All the new McDonald's are going to be all automated.
They're just automating everything.
Yeah, everything. So fabrication is the same thing. There's this robotic revolution that's happening.
No, I agree. I think that the future is definitely geared towards automating the repeatability of what you get. It's the same part every time. There's a lot in that, and as things get more and more technical, they have to be more precise. You just can't hand weld some of this stuff like you can with automation. At Torch Tip, one thing we did was we really leaned into it. So a lot of our CNC machines, we load them with robots. We do, when we make big nozzles, we crimp them with robots. We kind of leaned in on ours and, our processes, and really we were in the same boat as everybody. COVID, hard to find labor, hard to find labor that's going to stay and really commit to the, job and building roots in a career. You put robots in, you don't have to worry about they're going to show up to work or how they're going to do it or how many they're going to do. We had some processes that, you would do a job and you'd say you could do 1,000 of this piece in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the robot can only do 700. But after 8 hours, the robot didn't stop. It just kept going all night.
That's right, with no overtime pay.
No overtime pay, no health insurance.
Right.
So when you look at what you're doing, like you brought up welding, some parts for sure you can weld faster. But when you go home, that robot can still be there doing it. Or, you're a great welder. You could be working on something that's technical that you need, a fabricator, somebody that's going to be precise. That robot can do those menial over and over repeat tasks, tacking parts together, building those simple welds, those fillet welds, things like that. So it's definitely coming a long way. There's just a lot more for it to go.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's definitely transforming welding in America, right? Or in the world, I should say.
Absolutely.
Cobots specifically, the affordability, the ease of operation, the availability. If a manufacturer wanted to get into automating a weld procedure, I mean, it's never been easier, right? The conversation we had yesterday with, I'm not going to say who, but with the manufacturer we dealt with, I mean, what they're trying to do. I mean, that's optimize their operation. Gosh, there's no telling how much improvement, productivity they'll have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on all those benefits as well, it's also adding a tool to these welders or these operators' toolbox as well. It's like when you start working with these cobots, you start thinking about, like, how does this cobot work? What is happening with the computer? Where is it talking to? So then that adds a little bit more to their, toolbox about expands their knowledge and how to look at things and,
So with you being a cobot specialist, let's take 2 steps back, because there may be some people listening that don't know what a cobot is, right?
Sure.
Let's, in layman's terms, tell our audience about cobots.
Absolutely. So cobots are a robot. Nothing, like, it does what it's told to do over and over and over again. But with the cobot, it's a collaborative robot. It won't be as fast as a normal robot, but because if it touches something, if it touches a human, it would automatically stop. You don't need any fencings. You don't need anything to hurt anybody. So that's one of the safety features that a collaborative robot has rather than an actual robot.
Mm-hmm.
And now these different companies are becoming more innovative in making it super easy, like the programming. Picture icon. It's like your phone, like a tablet. Everybody knows how to work it. That's how you program it. It's not a pendant or anything like that. It's just you use your phone and it looks just like the programming that you would do for your cobot. It's just pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm blown away by how easy it is. So you could literally take someone with zero welding experience, say your whole weld force laid out. Well, guess what? You could go and you could get the sales team from the office or the purchasing people, whatever, and get them on the shop floor and have them running those things in no time.
5 minutes.
It's
less than 5 minutes.
It's wild.
It is. Yeah.
Which I think that is the most impressive thing for me, is that we can take someone, a facility who wants to get into automation, doesn't know how to get into automation. Well, you've got these packages. It's just simple as, hey, this is what we want to do. Send you the drawings. Yeah, the bots would do it. Ship them a package.
Yep.
Turn it on. I mean, it's really not that much harder than that. I mean, yeah, there's some more steps involved, but it's really crazy how simple it is.
I think it's a great opportunity for anybody trying to get into automation, like you said. Like it's very easy, very non-complicated. You know.
Literally, one of those cobot packages is less than an employee.
Right.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
But, to expand on some of that, so automation, for as long as it's been in time, is really based on high volume parts. You think of GM, Ford, like automotive, you think of John Deere. What these collaborative robots do is they open the door to mom and pop shops, small fabricators, making low volume 5-10 parts. It gives you a repeatability that you can't find anywhere else.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. And you don't need, like you said, that skilled labor, that skilled welder.
Yeah.
You let those skilled welders do the things that they're skilled at doing, not the menial tasks that they have to do all day to, complete those works.
I think that the cobot is really beneficial for the small fabricator, okay, who's having to compete with, from an employee standpoint with, say, a mega manufacturing facility. Okay, like we got BMW here in town, right?
Yep.
You cannot compete with the benefits and the hourly wages and so forth and so on as they are with the very limited skilled labor work pool that we have to choose from. So you could take a rather not skilled welder, implement some cobots, and you're running like you were if you had 4 or 5 really, really high paid fabricators in your shop. You can supplement the workforce gap is what I'm trying to say.
But here's the thing. You don't even need welders.
No, you don't.
So you don't need a welder to load a part in a jig.
Right.
You don't need a welder to hit go. Right. So what you can do is you can take, instead of getting 6 welders, you can get 6 cobots, hire 1 welder. He can make sure they're all good. And then you can pay people off the street to come in and hit go.
Right. And load parts.
Yeah. I mean, how hard is it to load a jig?
Mm-hmm.
Some detailed work instructions, press go. I mean, it's an app.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's kind of like the balance between like the craftsmanship of welding and then the automation of welding. People are going to say, "Well, you're taking the craftsmanship out of fabrication." I don't.
Redirecting.
You're just redirecting that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Make them focus on the real important art of welding. And
do you think there's a balance there somewhere? What does that look like? Like how do you balance the craftsmanship of fabrication and the integration of like robotic technology?
There's always going to be a need for a custom fabricator.
For sure.
It's not going anywhere, right? There's always going to be something special that needs to be done, and it's not going to make sense to do it in a robot, right? At the same time, it doesn't matter what you're building. Steel fences, bucket trucks, it doesn't matter. There's repeatable parts that you can free up that skilled labor or need less of it, to where when you don't have the skilled labor, you can still get by.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to start a business, between workman's comp, insurance, health insurance, benefits, all the stuff that comes in, hiring, getting people on, you said to compete against BMW, that goes away.
Right.
And for less than $100,000, you can have a robot.
Way less than $100,000.
Way less. You can have a robot do it all for you within 5 minutes. You can get this thing set up. My 10-year-old daughter's came in. She's set it up and welded in 5 minutes. And if a 10-year-old can do it,
yeah, anyone can. Yeah,
then anybody
absolutely.
can.
You can fix that.
Oh,
Take your time. Yeah, fix it how you need it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I almost feel like with the baby boomer retirement, that's where our job labor force gap's coming from, right? It's estimated something like, I forget what it is. Actually, I wrote it down. I read it earlier today and thought, that's interesting. There's 75 million baby boomers retiring, coming out of the workforce. 75 million.
And you think about that, and it's interesting because think about like my generation coming in as the millennials, how we were in the transformation era where technology was like evolving very, very quickly. So, like I told you, tablets are something that we got it. Now babies also.
Right.
Tablets, that's all they see. They know how to function with that, It's so much easier. It's evolving into just technology.
It's almost like bringing in cobots is like investing in tomorrow's welders. Because tomorrow's workforce is going to want it. They're going to want the smart welders. They're going to want to tinker with the smart equipment, or they're not. They're not going to want to be involved in it. It won't interest them.
Exactly.
Which is another problem we got with the labor gap. Is how do we continue to bring kids to want to go into the trades? Well, they got to be able to see this technology.
Right.
Miller and all those guys have got the virtual welding stuff now. Yep. That's all well and good. But I hate to say it to you, the robots coming after that piece of, that space.
Yep.
Well, let's be honest too, people that are coming up today are not like from my generation or even your generation. You tell a kid he's going to make 18, 19 bucks an hour, stand under a hood all day, go home disgusting, sweaty, tired. You can go work at QT and, starting out and make almost the same thing.
Or more.
Mm-hmm. So when you're first starting welding, if it's an option of, I'm going to run these robots and it's going to be awesome and I'm going to have fun with it, or I'm going to go under the hood and sweat all day. I think the newer generation is going to be a lot more
acceptable.
Acceptive or receptive. That'd be a good word. Receptive of this new technology coming in.
Right.
You talk about the baby boomers retiring. They've done things a certain way for a long time, and they built this country. Greatest generation. They've done a lot of stuff. Moving forward, you think of like oxyacetylene cutting. That was the only thing you had.
That's right.
You moved into plasma.
Yeah. Game changer.
Yeah. Now what do they got?
Laser.
Now you're into laser.
Yeah.
Right. You don't see many people cutting all day on oxyacetylene tables. Well, what happens when welding's the same way? All these robots come in. It's going to come one way or another. The earlier you get in, the more primed you'll be to be successful.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You got to adapt to the change. You got to almost reskill your welders for the future.
Yeah, no, I agree. Continual training for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the way of the world. And if you say not, you're kind of being ignorant to the fact that the world is changing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. It being at FabTech this year, I can't tell you how many schools came by and they were all looking at cobots because they're implementing their weld school programs to teach kids how to come out using them. And almost every school was looking at them. So they're going to be more and more popular. They're going to be coming. You got to be on the forefront of it. That's what at American Torch Tip we're invested in trying to do.
Oh, you're absolutely invested in that. And it's evident, right? You've given me as a distributor a platform to be able to sell cobots that are almost painless to pursue, right? What you done with that virtual simulation, I'd love for you to talk about that. If a manufacturer comes to us and says, hey, these are our parts, this is what we want to do, you've got a way to take their parts, implement them into a simulation, and show them, hey, the robot can do the parts you want to do. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So that simulation is actually really, really cool. It does absolutely everything that the cobot would do. So if you have any questions, you can program everything on the simulation, take it to the actual cobot, and it does exactly what it does, what you programmed it to do in the simulation. So that's really cool. And when I'm traveling, I could do the same thing. If we're stuck in the middle of, we don't know what to do with our parts, we don't know how to implement it, no worries. We have different designs, different tables, different setups that we can do for it to complement your processes, or so it's just a playground, a virtual playground for us to really implement what people are looking for.
What is the tech behind that? What can you can you delve a little deeper into that?
Yeah, I would.
Like AutoCAD.
It's very similar to AutoCAD. Yeah. It's
so if someone's
AutoCAD.
using AutoCAD, they can send those files to you.
Correct.
And it'll convert them to whatever you're using. And
yep.
Yeah.
It would bring that part in there and connect it with our cobot. Yeah.
So here's another thing that we can expand on with that. So with that program, And what you're able to do is when you build your parts in there, and you take the parts you have, your AutoCAD, you do those things. You weld up your WPSs. You load up all that information. With the robot, it doesn't have to see where it's welding. Okay, it doesn't see anything, right? So, being you can take that, you can flip those parts over, you can turn them upside down, you can spin them around. It helps you look at tooling, how you want to secure the parts, and then maybe find more efficient ways to weld with them, get into them, set the robot up to weld them. I struggle because when I'm trying to set the robot up, I want to set it up like I'm welding it, where you don't have to do that. And something that she does very well is she uses it. She's immersed in that world. So she looks at it as the tool it is, where I'm trying to force this into what I want it to be. That's what I need to get better at.
Mm-hmm. Do you see that being an issue on the shop floor when you take a welder who's used to doing it his way, right? He's been working at this plant for however long. He's been welding these same parts. You say, hey, here's a cobot that's going to help you with your job, right?
Everybody loves that slogan.
Here's something that's going to help you, get better at your job. You foresee them trying to do the same thing because it's like, this is how I would do it. However, we know that the data shows us this is not the best way to do it.
Absolutely. But with the program she's talking about, and I believe you can load that program directly into the cobot, touch up where it's at, and it'll just weld the program for you.
Talk about that. Because let's just keep in mind that maybe someone's listening that doesn't know, right? Has zero robotic experience, never seen one of these things, but knows that his shop could use it.
Yeah.
Let's go through that.
So let's say that this customer has this product that they're having issues they can't see what we're trying to tell them. Send them the parts, send us a part, and we would show them how we can do it, and we would talk, and like he was saying, I understand the cobot, I understand how it moves and stuff, so I would put my 2 cents in there. Obviously, I'm not a welder, they're the welders. I want to have conversations with them to get the process easiest for them. I think if they're open-minded, I think they could really, it's an art.
Yeah.
You talk about art on how they weld. This is also an art. It's a science art kind of thing in a different way. If they stay open-minded and understanding how this cobot actually works, I think it would.
What's
really
cool
help.
to me is when we at Torch Step, we like to do training. That's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on. We want to come in, and if we sell you something, we want to make sure that you're getting the full use out of what you bought. Okay, we want you happy with us. We want to partner with you. One of the things to me that's cool is when we do put in these cobots and that light bulb goes off and they finally get it. The kid's like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. And then he starts welding and he starts to see. And then inevitably it leads to, oh, I could do this part over here. I could do this part too. Right. And then that's what's cool is you can see that future down the road, these people are moving in the right direction. And, they're going to be solvent for a long time.
The cobot definitely brings a human touch to the robotic world.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, that's what it is. It's a collaborative relationship between a welder and a robot.
Correct.
Yep.
Right? So it's not like we're really, taking the person out of it. We're just adding to their ability. Right?
It's a tool to make them more efficient.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a big tool that, we talked about. The collaborative robot is the same exact thing as an industrial robot in an automotive. The only difference is it runs at a rate to where if it hits somebody, it's not going to hurt them. That's the only difference. So with that in mind, if you buy one, you're not buying a starter robot. You're not buying a let's ease into robotics 101. You're buying a full-fledged, this will last for years, it's going to do everything you need to do, advanced machine that as you grow, will grow with you. The capabilities of it are there for you to unlock and notice its potential.
One of the things I was blown away by the Fanic was you talk about lasting for years, is that 8-year maintenance free.
Yep.
Incredible.
No maintenance, 8 years.
I mean,
It's really cool how they did it. They just, again, they're a big company that just continues innovating and evolving. And the way our guy was telling us is that they have calculated how long the cycles it takes for it to equal 8 years for you need to do maintenance on it. It's mind blowing.
it really is. I mean, I think, talking about companies that have these, when we brought that up in this conversation with a customer yesterday, I mean, it's unheard of,
Right.
Well, I mean,
buy a piece of equipment that'll last you for 8 years without you having to touch it.
on the floor of a fabrication shop,
Right.
they run those things underwater. I mean, they're dust free, water free. It's impressive how they build them.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And they fit anywhere. That's the cool thing. Everybody, whether you're building race cars or you're building spaceships, there's something you can do that this would fit into.
Yeah. The other thing is the East Coast support.
For your area, absolutely.
Yeah, and let's just face it, those West Coast Chinese-owned communist type
Companies,
companies.
no
I mean, why deal with them?
Yeah.
We're right here.
Now, when there's local people you can deal with.
Absolutely, yeah, and that went a long way. The fact that we had an opportunity, you guys flew up. You spent all this time and effort putting together that simulation. The follow-ups, the service, the support. I mean, it's unmatched what you get for an investment literally less than one good employee, one skilled fabricator.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to you guys for the program you've built.
So let me ask you this. Your operation and what you do here and, managing your inventory, have you looked at, is there anything you can do with AI or robots or those type things to automate processes, make things more efficient?
Yeah.
Is that something you've ever looked at? I mean,
Yeah, I'm looking into that heavily. So the Chat GPT deal,
the ChatGPT.
it's crazy.
Everybody loves it.
Oh, but it's wild though. So I just started this week on that, really. But yeah, I want to find a way to automate, simplify things as much as possible. I don't really know what that looks like just yet for us, but I am looking into it. Whether it be email automation or, I would love to figure out how to use it in order processing somehow, but I don't know what that looks like just yet. But it's coming. I mean, there's something out there, or it won't be long until someone develops something where we're all being touched by artificial intelligence in everything that we do.
It's another untapped resource that it's just amazing how far it's came in such a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And, to go back, if you're not using it, your competitors probably are.
Right.
So are you falling behind?
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like, if you look at plasma, folks that are, they still sell plasma tables every day.
Absolutely.
And they have their place. But most of the people who are still running plasma are behind to the guys running lasers.
Absolutely.
And the folks that are still running plasma and lasers but don't have robotics, well, they're behind to the folks that have robotics.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep evolving with your business, with your market.
Like you said, if you're not moving forward, your competitors are.
Right.
So we're in a great position, bringing on as Dana here and letting her, really shine for us. And like you said, I think we're on the front end of it, and I think we're attacking it in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it's exciting. It's going to be a huge growth segment next year. We think it's going to be our fastest growing. We just got to get out there and show people the capabilities. A lot of times it's when you talk to people, they don't think they can automate or they don't know where they would automate.
Right.
And that's a great thing to go in and look at processes and really show somebody a solution to a problem, even if they don't know it's a problem, but giving them those solutions.
I think every shop has a chance to automate something.
Absolutely.
I don't care if you're a 2-man shop or a 200-man shop. There's something you can automate somewhere. If you only have 2 people, if you automate, how much further can we grow? You say, well, I don't have enough resources, labor resources. Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
We talked about just the cost, the hidden cost of welding and the hidden cost of bringing welders on.
Right.
Robots solve a lot of that.
They do. They do. Just the recruiting cost alone. How much time, energy are people spending interviewing and hiring a guy? He shows up for a day, shows up late the next day, and then the third day he just don't show up at all.
Or he shows up, he says he can weld, and he can't even read a tape measure.
That's right. Yeah, much less pass a weld test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Guys show up day, no welding hood, no gloves. They just, hey, I'm here to weld. Let's go.
No boots.
No boots.
Yeah.
Flip flops and a tan.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, boss.
Let's go.
Just sign me up. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, tell me some success stories. I mean, you guys have got a good many of these robots out. Let's talk about some success stories. You don't have to name any names.
No, we've had some successes throughout the country, different manufacturers. And like I said, it goes back to that really, it's exciting to go into a shop, look at the processes, find ones that would be good to automate, and then bring in the tools to let them do that. That's what I think is exciting, and moving forward, it's going to be the most exciting part. We've had some in Alabama that are doing great, and a couple different manufacturers, actually. They have opened up new lines, brought them in on the front end where they've kind of designed what they're doing based around, where they can put these tables, where this is going to go. I mean, it was an undertaking, but anytime you open new lines, and the fact they didn't need to, I think they said it cut 6 employees out.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So, it's a big savings.
It is. It is. Maybe they didn't, maybe they could repurpose those 6 employees to other areas that they're good at, or.
Well, maybe, but at the same time, if it's a new line and they're trying to hire 6 employees,
right.
Good luck trying to go find 6 skilled welders.
I was fixing to say, or they found out that these guys that they had were really just subpar,
Well, even that, I mean, it's such a, welding anyways is a job where people come and go, just historically. If,
we call that drag up fever here.
Manufacturer B is going to pay another 72 cents an hour. Well, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And once you pay me $1 an hour more, then I'll come back.
Yeah.
Right. So
shoot,
having
they'll
these
leave
robots,
for 25 cents. Come on now.
You don't have to fight that game.
Right.
Okay. And, when Jim leaves, maybe it's a great time to look at it and say, do we need to hire another Jim back for a higher wage? Or do we buy one of these new tools that are out and utilize newer technology to move forward in our production process?
Yeah. I agree. It's smart business, unfortunately. I mean, it's the way of the world, and it's smart business.
Hey, American Tourship is an American company.
Yep.
Right? If you call, we all live in America. We support it. We support American manufacturing. We do it. At the same time, the labor it's a known problem to everybody.
Right. We're just providing a solution to a known problem, like you said. There's an industry pandemic of people not working, right?
Well,
it's just spread like wildfire into every market there is. There's a labor shortage, and much less skilled labor.
Well, even just speaking on cobots, you have the internet, right? Like, let's see, how many skilled welders are we going to be short in a year, in 5 years?
Yeah.
10, like, how many are we going to need in America in 10 years that where are they going to come from?
This is that robot we was talking about earlier.
That's the robot that serves your French fries?
Yeah. No, it brings your whole food. Look at this.
Does it cook it?
I don't think it cooks it, but it's a waiter. Like, I don't know. That's crazy.
I bet
right?
you my drink would be empty just as much with that thing as it would with a real lady there.
Yeah, no, you know
noodles.
it. You know it. Let's see what Google has to say.
Yeah, look that up. Look up something like welder shortage America 5 years or something or another.
Sorry.
So 360,000 welders were going to be short in America. Where are they going to come from?
Robots.
Robots.
Yeah.
But you're not replacing jobs at that point. You're not telling people they can't work.
Right.
There's still skilled labor that they need welders to go do.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, if you're a trigger puller, you can't read, a
Prints
weld map,
or-
you
yep.
can't follow WPS. You just they're going from A to B. That job is going to
gone.
start getting sourced out.
Absolutely.
And if there's a need of 360,000 welders, the product needs to be made.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Industry will continue, whether we have a shortage or not. And it's
Either we're going to make it or China.
I was fixing to say either we make it or someone else makes it.
So, if it's making it here, building American dollars,
Yeah.
then I'd rather give people the tools to do that than send it overseas somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And and with the financing options too that's offered on this equipment, you were talking that stat there was a 5-year stat, 360,000 people short. So if you own a fabrication or manufacturing facility and you're not looking at what's coming, you're simply not being a smart business owner.
You're being naive to the situation.
Because it's coming. You're fixing to be hurting for work. Your business is going to struggle. So why not look at one of these, if you don't have the upfront capital, finance it. Get it in, learn how to use it, and get ready for what's coming.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the financing. So you're financing it, okay, which it's, people hate to finance stuff. They don't want that
Right.
monthly payment.
Maybe they're fortunate they don't have to, but some people aren't.
You're going to hire a new welder. He's getting paid every month.
That's a finance. Might as well be it's a payment.
This one you at least pay off. You're
Right.
always going to pay that guy
Yep. Forever.
forever.
You're renting. You rent people.
That's it. That's
You
what you
rent
really
people.
do. So, yes, you are financing it, but you're financing it to build into a better spot.
Mm-hmm.
And when you really extrapolate out the cost of a robot over 5 years, what you're paying is less than minimum wage for that robot.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. It'd be way less, really. Because I know what they
way
cost. It's way less. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you do that, and you extrapolate it out, I've never seen a case where it's not a smart business decision to try to move into an automation stronghold, to try to get a better process in place, to get a more repeatable product out the door.
Right. Absolutely. It's crazy. Especially when you kind of put it in terms of an hourly wage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. That's a good thought process on that, Joy.
And, another thing, you got to do a bunch of long passes on something. Robots don't get hot.
Mm-hmm.
Their hands don't burn. They can weld as many passes as hot as you want. So it helps with some of those issues too, where, welder fatigue, heat, those type things.
Well, there's more sustainability in a robot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at the end of an 8-hour shift, they're still putting the same welds down they were at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And then let's also, we mentioned some things like insurance, overtime pay, vacation, workers' comp.
Workman's comp.
I mean,
Right.
let one of your guys get hurt. What's that cost you?
Yeah, I mean, you strain your shoulder in America. I'm sure OSHA has some studies on what that total cost is. I bet you it's $300,000 for that.
Oh, I'm sure.
By the time you figure downtime,
Yeah.
or doctor bills, insurance bills. I mean, one injury, you're almost at what a cobot would cost.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's
They're not losing hearing protection every day and
having the glove. Yeah. Right.
safety glasses and high vis vest.
Right.
Just you hit go and it goes to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, us at Steel Core, we want to sell as many gloves and glasses and welding wire and rods as we can, right? But we also want to help you automate your business.
But you want to help people be successful.
That's
and you want to
exactly right.
partner with people because I feel like we get along because we have a lot of the same goals. To you, when you go in there, you want to make sure that them people have a successful and a good experience working with you. And when you leave, you feel like you've given them everything you could to help their process.
100%.
And that's what we try to do.
Absolutely. And I know you do. I mean,
You've heard me tell
proven it.
people that
Yeah.
we're not a good option for you. This is not what we do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I've walked away from business, and that's okay. Nobody, sometimes it's not a good fit.
Right.
I've yet to see one where it's not a good fit with a cobot.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So if someone wants to get into robotics, what's the first thing they need to do?
Call Brandon Coates.
Absolutely, you need to call Brandon Coates at Steel Core. But we need to identify some parts.
Yeah. I think Ez would be a
repeatable.
great person to really expand on the starting processes of what you want to look for, where you go from there, those type things.
Yeah. Sending parts and again putting in that simulator, and if they're asking for what type of size, we have all.
So before that, though, if I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, hey, I think we could use a robot or a cobot. If I own a shop, what are some things I'm looking for to see if my shop's a good fit? I'm looking for repeatability, right?
Yes.
Is that necessarily an end game? Do I necessarily have to have repeatability, or am I just trying to,
I think in anything, like just.
What I would look for in a shop, if I go into a shop and we go into manufacturer A and he says, I want to see about some automation stuff. That's great. What part do you use, on everything you make, what part is it? Is it a tie down? Is it a door? Is it this little flange? Like, what do you make? Because the majority of shops will use the same style part over and over and over again. So we take that part, we look at it, fit it up. Okay, yeah, this would be a great fit. So how many do you go through a month? We use 100 of these tie downs a month. Great. So then what this robot's going to do is it's going to weld 500 of them for you. Now for 5 months, your welders can work on other stuff where they ain't got to worry about this part. And then what's the next, what do you build? Not necessarily a one-off, because a one-off, you're going to be better to hand weld it, right? But what do you build 10 of? What do you build 20 of a month? What job do you have that is going to be a repeatable job for the next 60 days?
And to add to that, like repeatability is one thing, but like how we mentioned, like the cobot doesn't have to see where it's going. It could be dark in the little corner. That cobot is going to go right in there. You can tell it where to hit it. And so things that can be complicated for a normal welder, the cobot can go in there and just, do it. So things like that, people could be looking into automation.
Is that with the use of like seam tracking?
So you can use seam tracking, but the robot is just an arm in space. So, when you talk about seam tracking, those type things, it's measuring voltage, doing that. Once you get the tooling correct and you tell the robot where to go, as long as the part's there, it's going to go to that same spot every time. It doesn't need to see what the arc that's putting down, where you're trying to manually adjust and move and keep your stick out and all those type things. The robot does the same thing every time. It just runs down the seam you told it to. So not needing to see the parts, not needing as much light, they're all substantially better than we could do. And, really when you say like, you don't need repeatability, who doesn't want that? Like, who doesn't want the same part going out every time?
Oh, that's money. That's when you start making money. When you've got a process dialed in, and you've already got it dialed in, and you're already successful with that. Then you mix in this new technology, and all of a sudden, boom, your profits are increasing, your productivity's increasing, boss man's happy, right? The customer's happy. That's what you want.
Well, too, if you so quality. How do you check
Consistency.
quality if every single part's different? If it's supposed to be a 3-inch weld, but George puts down a 4-inch weld and Jim only puts down a 2-inch weld, and Joseph puts down a 2.5-inch weld.
Right.
Well, how do you know which one's right? What do you really need? Instead of having a 3-inch weld every single time in the exact same spot.
Yeah.
So when you talk about quality, how do you really know what your quality is if you can't make repeatable parts?
Agreed.
And I think that's a That's a great point. We have a customer now that wasn't aware of how different every part is. So not only are they pushing to get, like, they're looking at all the processes beyond what we're going to do with the cobot. It's like we need to get more repeatability in other departments. Can we push on those things, you know, to get this
Right.
cobot to do it perfect every single time?
What I've seen is people will implement some sort of automation, and that will lead to another set of
Yes.
automation, right? And it just continues to flow as they see the results,
Right.
right? It's very. I've never seen someone start some sort of automation program and it stop.
Right.
They're, they either bought a plasma table and that led to a laser, or they had a laser and then that laser led to a auto feed bed laser. It always progresses
Right.
in any form of automation.
Yeah.
But
Same thing
what
with the
owner
robots. It's going to happen.
doesn't want to be more efficient?
Right.
What owner doesn't want a better utilization rate of his payroll? Right. What owner doesn't want to put out more quality parts?
Right.
Less parts coming back that are messed up or that failed. And then reputation wise, if you put out the same part every time, it's a good part.
Right. That's right.
So it's definitely we're at a turning point. So right now we're at the cusp of it. It's starting to come on, right? Like the wave's building. We're just trying to get as many people on the start of that wave as possible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm on it with you.
I-
We're going to
for
sell
sure.
a lot of cobots
You're a
this
great
year.
partner for
Yeah.
us.
So if you are in the Southeast, specifically South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, you need to call me. Tennessee, I'll take care of you. Yep. So anyways, we guys, I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate the time, and thanks for letting us come on and inform you a little bit about this new stuff we got and ways it's changing the world.
Well, I think we ought to get back in 6 months or so, and after we get a few more of these installed and together, and
That'd be cool.
kind of give a success story, so to speak, because I know we've got some in the pipeline, and once we get those operational, I think it'd be good to pick up
Absolutely.
on and talk about how they've, maybe we ought to bring in a customer too, let them talk about how it's improved their processes. So, yeah, cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Brandon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope y'all
Don't
have a
forget
Merry
to name
Christmas.
this room. You need to come up with something cool.
Come up with a name.
You needed something.
Well, what
The Steel Core Studio. Something.
Steel Core Studios. I like it.
I like it too,
I'm gonna go with it. Yeah, good deal.
Coming live from the Steel Core Studio.
Yep, here we are. Well, guys,
Thank you
y'all.
again.
I enjoyed it. Hope y'all have a safe flight back down to Florida. Appreciate you working with me this week.
Absolutely.
Deal.